My name's Robert and I try things. This time I tried Goodbye Deponia from Daedalic Studios. If you want to know if it's any good, stick around. Goodbye Deponia is the third and final game in the Deponia series of point-and-click puzzle adventures. Going right into graphics, the art style puts me in mind of Family Guy or American Dad or kind of any Seth MacFarlane show, very reminiscent of those series. The way that the characters move is a little bit jerky, especially at starting and stopping, kind of puts me in mind of much older games, but it's not a big deal because you're not relying on movement or timing to get anything done in the game. On the other hand, details are everywhere in the characters, in the backgrounds, in the items, in some of the storyline. I'm not going to spend much time on audio because it doesn't really add or detract too much from the game. One thing I will mention is that in the dialogue, where you've got different choices where the conversation goes, where Rufus pauses is very seamless in how he moves into whatever choice you choose in that conversation.
You don't even know how to look at an object?
On top of that, there are some really funny songs in the transition from one chapter to the next, sung by what looks like a caricature of maybe one of the devs in the game.
I assume that you're human to just bite the dust.
Controls is going to be another really short section. You have 3 controls. You have left click to interact, right click to inspect, and then mouse wheel to scroll down to open up your inventory, and then up to close your inventory. That's it. Super simple controls. You can't mess it up. Coming at you a couple of days later, I actually found out there's one more control, and it would have been so useful to know this while I was actually playing the game. You can hit spacebar to reveal everything on the screen that you can interact with. As we go into the story and the gameplay, I do have to have a disclaimer that I haven't finished the game yet, and I've never played the first 2 games either. The premise of the whole series is that the residents of Elysium, which is a floating city, are getting ready to destroy this planet full of trash that they filled with trash called Deponia in order to bring Elysium, which is actually an ark, a spaceship, over to the next habitable planet called Utopia. What the residents of Elysium don't know is that the planet is still inhabited. There are still 11,000 people down there according to the game. Rufus, our main character, our hero, and his friends are on a mission to prevent the planet from being destroyed. And they are pursued and waylaid at every turn by Inspector Cletus, who is from Elysium, and to whom Rufus bears a really striking resemblance. More than the story, the characters really bring this game to life because they are just short of bizarre, and really just short, like a hair's breadth short. Rufus, our hero, the main character, is self-centered, ignorant, prideful, and incredibly lucky in the way that he gets himself into and out of all of these ridiculous situations. The bad guys are everything you could wish for in a comedy where the hero is an absolute moron. They're mildly incompetent, they're gullible, and they're haughty and ignorant of the ways of commoners, the people that live on Deponia. The most normal character is the leading lady, Goal. She's actually from Elysium, and somehow, it's explained probably in the earlier games, she has come to travel with Rufus and accept and maybe even love him exactly the way he is. I don't know how she does that. Rufus's other 2 traveling companions, Doc and Bozo, we don't really get to know very well in this game because they get separated fairly early on, but they probably are just as interesting as everybody else in the other 2 games. And then there is this one character. She was supposed to be a substitute for Goal that I guess Rufus and company pushed into Cletus, but she is really something else.
This woman is not my fiancée.
Put his eyeballs in the waffle iron.
This is a puzzle game, and the puzzles for the most part don't disappoint. They're super imaginative. So imaginative that I actually needed a walkthrough for at least half of this game. They lend themselves well to completionist type gamers where people want to interact with everything in every way possible, using every item and putting every item together, because you absolutely have to do those things in order to get through these puzzles. For example, you're going to be using a coat hanger to catch a fish, not in the way you might imagine. You're going to make some chloroform toothpaste. You're going to give head lice to an oracle in order to steal that oracle's robe. Really imaginative puzzles. The good things about this game, number 1, is that the characters are very, very enjoyable. They 100% make this game, especially, surprisingly, Rufus, our idiotic main character. I love watching how he gets into and out of stuff. Another great thing is that the interface is super simple. You literally can't mess up 3 controls. And then I'm a big fan of the shenanigans in the game versus like intrigue and drama. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it's like funny and entertaining rather than cerebral and people backstabbing and lying all over the place. As far as negatives, there aren't a whole bunch. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I do wish puzzle games had more hints or more comprehensive hints, or maybe could nudge you in the right direction, maybe with something on the screen or something that the character says, maybe while you're standing there idle trying to figure out what's going on. In particular, one of the ways puzzles didn't make sense was when you had to re-interact with an item. There were a couple of places where you interacted with something once, something happened, maybe you go and do something else, and then you're supposed to come back and interact with that same object in a different way. And there is no indication that that other way of interacting with that object has now appeared. And then even more minor negative than any of that is that sometimes there are times where you have to go from one area to another, and then back and forth a couple of times. And that process is not exactly speedy. Rufus doesn't move very fast, but it's not a game-breaking thing. I still enjoyed the game anyway. I'm gonna have to give this game a personal 8 out of 10. Overall, it's very entertaining. I spent way longer playing this game than I originally intended to, and any negatives that I ran into were overshadowed by how much fun I was having watching these characters be these characters and all the crazy things that they did. So would I pay the $30 price tag for this collection of games? That's gonna have to be a hard maybe for me, maybe a 60-40 chance. Mostly because I don't believe that I would play more than one of these games. Maybe if I were in a situation where I was really jonesing for a new game and I didn't either like any of the AAA titles that were out or didn't have the money for any of the AAA titles that were out, I might go ahead and buy this game. On the other hand, I would definitely recommend this to people who really like point-and-click puzzle games. This would definitely be for you. My name's Robert. I try things. At the moment, it's mostly video games, but I would really very much like to branch out with that, and that's where you come in. If you'll drop a comment on this video or tweet at me with suggestions for things to try, I will definitely get down on those. And then if you want to know when I post a new video, definitely subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And that notification will also let you know when I go live. I do try these things, especially the games, live on Thursdays and Sundays right here on YouTube. So if you turn on notifications, you'll know right when I go live and you can come hang out with me and chat with me. Beyond that, have a great day.